This is a summary of my notes from Lawrence Gardner about the Son of Man concept. Gardner is a noble Gnostic, so his story could be promoting his ideas. Jesus generally referred to himself as the Son of Man, as for instance in Matthew 16:13. When asked by the high priest whether he was in truth the Son of God, Jesus replied, "Thou hast said," implying that the priest had said it, not he. Jesus answered in virtually identical terms as narrated in Luke 22:70, "Then said they all, Art thou then the Son of God? And he said unto them, Ye say that I am." Outside the Gospel texts, the ascription Son of Man is also used in Acts 7:56 in respect of Jesus. The appellation had a special significance, for it was directly related to the angelic structure. As the chief representative of the people, the Davidic dynasty was not attached to the priesthood. Jesus' kingly line descended ultimately from the tribe of Judah, and held no hereditary priestly office at all. Such rights were restricted to the order of Aaron, and the tribe of Levi. Davidic heir at this time, Jesus had a lay attachment to the angelic hierarchy, as a spiritual son of the angel Gabriel. The name Gabriel meant man of God, Hebrew Jibriel, and in the Old Testament imagery of the living creatures, Ezekiel 1:10, Gabriel represented the category of man. Thus, Jesus was the Son of Man. One of Jesus' major problems was that he had been born into an environment of controversy over whether or not he was legitimate. It was for that very reason that Mary and Joseph took him to Simeon the Gabriel for legitimizing under the law, Luke 2:25. Despite this endeavor by his parents, Jesus evoked a mixed response, and the Jews were polarized in two opposing camps on the subject of his lawful status in the kingly line. Jesus had been conceived at the wrong time of year, and had been born before Joseph and Mary's wedlock was formalized in their second marriage. 6 years later his brother James had been born within all the rules of dynastic wedlock, and there was no disputing his legitimacy. The opposing factions thus each had a prospective Messiah to support. The Hellenists, westernized Jews, claimed that Jesus was the rightful Christ, Greek, Christos king, whereas the Orthodox Hebrews contended that the entitlement lay with James. The argument persisted for many years, but in AD 23 Joseph, the father of both candidates, died, and it became imperative to resolve the dispute one way or the other. Through long prevailing custom, the Davidic kings were allied to the dynastic Zadokite priests, and the prevailing Zadok was Jesus' own kinsman, John the Baptist. He had risen to prominence in AD 26 on the arrival of the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. John the Baptist was very much of the Hebrew persuasion, but Jesus was a Hellenist. John therefore supported James, even though he acknowledged Jesus as legitimate, and baptized him in Jordan. It was because of John's attitude that Jesus realized he must make a stand, for if the prospect of a revived Jewish kingdom were to gain momentum, he would undoubtedly lose out to his brother James. In view of this, he decided to create his own organized party of supporters, a party that would not follow any conventional social policy. His vision was straightforward, based on the logic that a split Jewish nation could never defeat the might of Rome. But he perceived, too, that the Jews as a whole could not accomplish their mission if they continued to hold themselves separate from the Gentiles, native non-Jews. His ambition for the kingdom of Israel was one of harmonious, integrated society, and he was more than frustrated by the unbending Jews of rigid Hebrew principle. Jesus knew full well that tradition had prophesied a Messiah who would lead the people to salvation, and he knew how desperately that Messiah was craved. John the Baptist was too much of a recluse to fulfill that role. James, meanwhile, was doing little to aid his own prospects, apart from relaxing in the comfort of High Priest Caiaphas and the Baptist's support. And so, from a once reserved position, Jesus stepped into the public domain, resolving to give the people their long-awaited Messiah. After all, he was the firstborn son of his father, no matter what the wrangling priests and politicians had to say on the subject. Moreover, he was the accepted Davidic dynasty, the spiritual son of the angel Gabriel in the eyes of the Hellenists, with support too from the Gentiles and proselytes, baptized converts to Judaism. In a short while he gathered his disciples, appointed his 12 key apostles, delegates, and began his ministry. Luke 6:13 and 10-1 tell that Jesus appointed 82 followers in all, 70 he sent out to preach, and 12 were designated his immediate circle. It is no secret to Bible readers that the apostles were armed, even though Sunday school tradition would have it otherwise. Indeed, Jesus made sure of their martial ability at the very start of his campaign, saying, "He that hath no sword, let him sell his garment, and buy one," Luke 22:36.